Ayo, Ben here, and welcome to 2016 presidential election prediction video. We're going to go through, talk about some of the polls that came out this past week, as well as where the state of the race is going. The trend line for, since it has been since mid-August, is in Trump's favor. That's to say the least. He's really been out of the news. He's actually made a few very politically savvy moves, such as going down to Mexico and talking with their president. And even if he wasn't exactly truthful to either party, nobody cared enough to... I was going to say nobody cared enough to see both, but then again, there were quite a few people who did. But to the general public, what he did was a very politically savvy move. Not only that, but it actually looked presidential. Let's be honest here. Going out, accepting an invitation from a foreign dignitary, talking things over, actually looking like you were respectful of what they wanted. And yeah, it was a good move. Other good moves is let the Clinton Foundation and Hillary's health take precedence in the media cycle and don't shoot your mouth off. That's a fairly, for most people, that'd be a fairly easy thing to do. For Clinton, or not for Clinton, for Trump, that's difficult. So yeah, he's done a lot. And let me make sure my options are correct. Okay, and yeah, so. And not only that, but a lot of new polls came out showing, hey, that things are a bit wacky. Because I'll get to you why. Okay, Washington, it's within 10, but that's about it. Oregon will be within 5. It's not changing. Nevada, I'm still leaning at Trump. Utah is likely just because most people from the GOP are going to fall on their swords there, in my opinion. Though I did see a poll with geographic distribution of who was winning what, and there's potential for Johnson to win the state for sure. As a matter of fact, he was doing better than Hillary in Utah in this poll. But that was with the raw numbers. Which were probably not indicative of what the voting population is going to look like in Utah. If we looked at the ones where the voting population would look like in Utah, at least what we expect it to look like, it's definitely for Trump, but still Johnson doing extremely well there. And not only that, but he was doing he was polling at like 23% in the Washington Post poll, as well as doing extremely well in a few other polls, like the Morning Consult poll, which had a very interesting result. Arizona leans Trump. Most polls are definitely showing that. New Mexico, interestingly, the Morning Consult poll put him up in the two-way race, but down by like 3 percentage points in the four-way race. It seems to be one of those weird states where, and I'm actually going to downgrade it from likely to lean, but it's one of those states where, interestingly enough, Johnson pulls more from the Republicans than the Democrats. But overall, Johnson pulls equally from both parties, if not a little bit more from Clinton. Colorado, it's actually probably a true toss-up at the moment, but I've seen a few polls with Trump up, I've seen a few with him tied, and I've seen a few polls up to a 6-point Hillary lead. So I think it's a true toss-up at the moment. But we're still going to lean at Clinton, though it's going to be a lot closer to New Mexico. Nebraska's second vote, but we're just going to go ahead and give that to Trump. Not solid, it's going to be a lean. And with this video, I'm going to release a poll in the description. Please take the time to fill that out. And please spread that to other people you know so that we can get as many results as possible. Because I want to see, and it's a 50-state poll, please only answer for your state. I've got it set up so that's what happens. But just in case you get tempted, only answer for your own state, okay? And it's a 50 state plus DC poll. And we'll be releasing it next Thursday, so there will be plenty of time. Kelvin's going to put that in his video as well, so we get different people responding, hopefully. And it says each IP address only gets one vote, so please refrain from going to, say, a different computer or something like that, okay? Missouri, we're going to put it as likely Trump, as I've seen anything from a narrow Trump lead to a 10-point Trump lead. We're going to put it as likely. Same with Mississippi, except it's from a narrow Trump lead to a 20-point Trump lead in Mississippi. Iowa leans Trump. About every poll I've seen shows that. There are a few that put Hillary up, but for the most part, every poll is showing Trump up in Iowa. South Carolina, I've seen polls showing him up by 9 recently to up by 16 or so. It's a likely state. Georgia, a similar situation, but a little bit closer. I'm actually downgrading it to a lean. North Carolina's leaning Trump. Quite a few very reputable polls show him up there by at least 3, sometimes more. Florida, it's a true toss-up, but the trend line looks good for Trump. We're going to lean it towards him. Same with Ohio, and actually most polls are putting him up in Ohio by about 3 to 4. Virginia, the trend line's good for Trump, but he's still down in every single poll I've seen, so we're going to lean that Clinton. And not only that, but it is getting closer overall. Let's go back up to the upper Midwest. And you notice Trump only needs 5 votes left. And you're going to be surprised at how he gets them. We're going to go actually to the Northeast. Rhode Island, I'm downgrading to likely Clinton, because believe it or not, most polls I've seen show it within 10. Some are actually showing it within 5. Connecticut gets upgraded to likely Clinton, because polls are actually showing her lead kind of increasing there overall, but not by a huge amount. New Jersey, I've had it as likely. I'm actually downgrading it because of the most recent Emerson College poll, which showed Clinton up by like 5 in New Jersey. Only 5. Though that didn't call cell phones, so they had to weigh their young people response a little bit. So it may not be completely representative, and it may have a little bit of a Republican lean to it just because of that, but it does show that he's doing much better than most Republican candidates would do in this area. Delaware is likely. Most polls I've seen have shown it at or around 10 points, or just a little bit under, or just a little bit over. Normally that's a solid blue state. We're going to go up to the Northeast, where Trump is definitely ahead in that 2nd congressional district. Clinton leads in the other one and overall. And it's definitely a likely, though I've seen some showing the state as a whole is tied. So we're going to only lean it. I know I've been doing that for the past couple of weeks. It should have been likely for the past couple of weeks. New Hampshire, it's all over the place. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it's leaning blue this year, just because I've seen a few polls with Trump up by a little bit, but not a whole lot. And most polls are showing Clinton with at least a 4-point lead, though the trend line is very good for Trump overall. So now we get into these. Basically, if Clinton wins all 4 of these, she wins the election. She's going to win Minnesota by about 6 to 8 percentage points. And also, I'm not sure. So both of these states have been very close these past couple of weeks, and the trend line has been extremely good. It's been especially good in Wisconsin for Trump. And as a matter of fact, I'm actually going to go ahead and call Wisconsin for Trump. And the reason I'm calling Wisconsin for Trump is because I've seen a few polls putting him up in Wisconsin. I've seen a few polls showing it tied, and I've seen a few polls nothing more than a 5-point lead for Clinton. And I've seen up to 3-point lead for Trump, meaning it's a true toss-up. But the trend line is extremely good for Trump, so we're calling it for him in that case because of the trend line. Meaning if he has 1 or 2 more good weeks for this, Wisconsin polls are going to show him ahead. Michigan, similar thing, but it's a little bit more blue leaning, and we're actually going to go ahead and lean that blue. Pennsylvania is a true toss-up. It wouldn't matter in this case, though I do think it's a little bit more red than Wisconsin. But since we're leaning New Jersey, I think it would be a safe thing to do to put... we're going to go ahead and lean this blue. Not because I don't think that Trump can't win it. I just think that Pennsylvania is going to be very weird because of Philly. And that's why I think the election is going to look like. So anyway, guys, next week by next week I'll know if Johnson's in the debates, and then I'm going to break out. And if he is, I'm breaking out the 3-way. Anyway, see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.